Yeah, did you watch that interview with Coogan and Chris Eubank Jr.? What do you think of that interview there?
Can I ask you a question?
Of course you can, that's your job.
It is. So, you said you're a bigger draw than Kell Brook, yes?
I think that goes without saying.
Is it due to your name, or is it due to who you face in the ring?
You know, we're going off of star power. We're going off of ticket sales. We're going off of, you know, if you walk down the street and ask 20 people, do you know Chris Eubank Jr. or Kell Brook, who's going to know who more? It's going to be me. I'm not blowing smoke up my own arse, that's just how it is. I'm the A-side here.
So yeah, what do you think of that? Do you think that's true? Do you think Chris Eubank Jr. is more known, you know, to like the general public than Kell Brook is? He probably is, because like Eubank, you know, he's been on these little silly programs, you know, like Gogglebox, and you know, he's had a little chat on it with Piers Morgan, you know, he's been on those kind of programs. You know, but Kell Brook's not really like that, is he? He's not really about that. So Eubank, he's probably more known to like non-boxing fans, you know, than Kell Brook is. But you know, when you talk about like the A side and the B side and all that, like what are we talking about? Are we talking about like who's more famous or who's the better boxer? Because obviously the Skype wanker was the A side, wasn't he? You know, and we've seen how that worked out for him, you know, being the A side. So I don't know, Eubank, he's trying to say that he's the A side against Kell Brook. You know, because he's more known to the little old women in the streets, you know, and he's been on these little programs. He's saying ticket sales as well, but you know, we know Kell Brook and Amir Khan sold out in like 10 minutes. Obviously that's because of Khan as well, but like, you know, if Khan was fighting like Billy Dibb, you know, in Britain, that wouldn't even be pay-per-view, would it? He said he got £10 million to fight Billy Dibb in Dubai, but in England, Amir Khan against Billy Dibb wouldn't be pay-per-view, would it? So obviously Kell had a big part to play in that. You know, that fight selling out in like 10 minutes. So Eubank, I don't know, I think he thinks he's some big time superstar, don't he?
Okay, brother.
All the stars in here.
Yeah, we're all out here, you know.
You see what I mean? He thinks he's part of that big time superstar group, don't he? Yeah? And you know, when he was talking about a potential fight with like Terence Crawford, Eubank was like, oh, what's his name again? I can't remember his name. He boxed Kell Brook and Amir Khan. I can't remember his name. Not Spence. And Coogan said, Terence Crawford. And he's like, yeah, Terence Crawford. You know, trying to act like he's fucking too big to know who Terence Crawford is. You know, trying to make out like he's too above it, you know, to remember his name. Like, you know, he's not really worth remembering. I forgot his name. I can't remember his name. You know, he boxed Kell Brook and Amir Khan. I forgot his name. You know, he was trying to act like that, wasn't he? Chris Eubank. That's what some of these guys do, you know, they pretend to not know somebody, you know, to try and like fucking make out like they're above it. It's like Eddie Hearn, you know, when he said that he's not going to watch Kell Brook and Amir Khan. You know, trying to make out like, oh, there's no point in watching it, they're both old as fuck. You know, they're both past it, they're both fucking old as fuck. So I'm not going to bother watching it. And then like the next day he said he paid for it. He said he paid to watch it, you know, afterwards. He admitted it, Eddie Hearn. He admitted that he watched it, you know, even though he was acting like, oh, there's no point, you know, they're both fucking old, they're past it. So what's the point? But he watched it, didn't he, Eddie Hearn? So that's what a lot of these guys do. They pretend that they don't know about certain fighters or they're not interested in certain fights that are coming up, and, you know, they try and act like that, don't they? Remember when De La Hoya was acting like that with Eddie Hearn?
What's that promoter that doesn't know how to, has no clue what to do in the US? I think his name is Hearn or something.
Oh, Thomas Hearn?
Yeah, Thomas Hearn. Thomas Hearn, stay in the UK, promote your fights. You have no clue what you're doing in the US. The Zone's doing the right thing by sticking with Golden Boy.
You know, De La Hoya acting like that, acting silly like that, stupid. That's what Eubank was acting like when he was pretending that he couldn't remember Terence Crawford's name. So yeah, Kel and Eubank, who is the bigger name? Like, who's got the most like followers on Instagram? Eubank's got 633,000 followers. You know, Kell Brook, he's got 292,000 followers. So, you know, Eubank, he's got the edge, you know, as far as followers goes. But Eubank's probably bought a lot of those followers. You know, he seems like that kind of guy, don't he? You know, like when he like told his mates to pretend to be paparazzi, you know, and take photos of him outside the cinema. You know, he told his little mates, didn't he, to like bring a few cameras down to the cinema, you know, and pretend to be paparazzi. You know, to try and give off the illusion of being famous and some big time superstar. You know, of his little mates with their little cameras. That was the silly little fake fucking illusion that Chris was trying to give off. So yeah, Kell Brook, you know, he's got the bigger victories on it against Sean Porter for the IBF title. You know, Eubank, he's got that little IBO belt on it, that little silly belt. So Kell Brook's got a better resume on it than Eubank. You know, and he's just sold out a big pay-per-view event on Sky Sports. So Kell's fucking better than him anyway. Kell will mess him up. All that running around shit that Eubank did against Liam Williams, you know, he won't really be able to do that with Kell. You see Kell walking the Skype wanker down, cutting him off, you know, and messing him up. So all that running around business, you know, Kell's seen that for years and years. You know, Kell's used to that style, you know, with people like Nassim Ahmed and people like Johnny Nelson, you know, sparring with them guys every day. So Eubank's not really gonna bring anything new with that little running around style of his. You know, that new little style. If anything, he needs to go back to hitting that machine. Because that was kind of like effective, wasn't it? But I don't know if Roy Jones has fucked him up. Israel Adesanya. He would fucking batter Eubank in a street fight, wouldn't he? He would fucking mess him up, you know what I mean? Probably even in boxing. Because you know that Izzy, you know, he was on Joe Rogan's show, wasn't he? And he said that he was a big fan of Nassim Ahmed. Naz's style of like hands down and loose, fluid, you know, leaning back and all that stuff. He had a few boxing matches himself, Izzy. And he said he used to love Naz. You know, and you can kind of see, can't you? You can see him trying to like fight like Naz there, you know, with the hands down and that loose style. Yeah, so he'd probably fuck up Eubank as well in boxing as well as in the streets. He'd mess him up. You know, Eubank with that fucking beard. You know, that little fake beard of his. It looks horrible, don't you? You can tell it's fake. You can tell it's a beard transplant. You can tell, can't you? It's all patchy, you know what I mean? He's kind of been able to hide the patches, but you know, in that pink light, it kind of shows the patchiness of that beard. You know, when he's talking to Cesaro, you know, you can see it, can't you? It's fake, man. He should just shave it off, just get rid of it. It's fucking horrible, you know what I mean? What's he doing? You know, he'd look better without it, wouldn't he? You know, these boxers like Conor Benn getting little beard transplants. They're becoming a bit like fucking women, aren't they? You know, a bit vain and that. You know, all that shit that they're putting in the water and that's fucking up these men, man, with their little beards. Yeah, I don't know. Eubank, he needs to get rid of that beard. He'd look better without it, wouldn't he? Yeah, he'd look better without it. It's not like he's trying to... You know, if he had like a big mole or something. You know that woman with the birthmark? You remember her? You know, that big birthmark there, it's not that nice, is it? And she looks quite nice, you know, without that horrible birthmark. But, you know, that birthmark, it kind of... It takes her down a few levels, don't it? She's quite an attractive woman, you know, without that birthmark. So, I don't know, it's... You know, if Eubank had one of them and he was trying to hide it with that silly beard, that patchy beard, that little fake beard, you could understand, couldn't you? But, you know, he's not. He ain't got a fucking horrible birthmark like that woman. So he needs to just get rid of that fucking beard, man. Yeah, you know, if he was on top of that woman banging her, do you think that birthmark would put you off? Might do, I don't know. It's not ideal, is it? It's not fucking ideal, man. Decent looking woman, but that birthmark is not ideal, is it? But she's saying that she's refusing to get it removed. I think she's a little model. And she's refusing to get it removed, you know, because she doesn't want to try and like fit in. You know, she don't want to conform, you know, to society's norms. So she said she's keeping it. She don't care what people say about it. So you have to kind of rate her in a way, you know, for keeping that birthmark. But I think it does take her down a few levels, you know. She should get it removed. You know, like that silly fucking beard of Eubanks. He should get it removed, shouldn't he? But yeah, it was quite a good interview on it from Coogan. You know, he asked some direct, straight up questions, didn't he? He's normally fucking pussyfooting around. You know, sitting on the fence, asking a load of stupid questions. But you know, this interview, he kind of put it on Eubank, didn't he? Saying, oh, what, do you think you're the big name? What, because of your dad's name? Because Kell Brook beat Sean Porter in an impressive IBF title fight. So Coogan was kind of like saying like, yeah, you're just living off the name. You're only more known because of the name. That's what Coogan was kind of saying, wasn't he? You have to give Coogan a bit of credit, you know. Coogan, he was drunk, you know, he was on the vodkas, and it kind of gave him the courage, you know, to ask straight up questions. Like, and someone sent me a photo of Coogan, you know, drunk, you know, on his hands and knees, crawling around like a dog. You know, begging women for sex. You know, with his fucking pants down. He was fucking crawling around like a dog, you know, drunk. You know, trying to fuck women and that, trying to bang them and that. So, it's not a good sight to see, is it? It's a bit sad to see Coogan ending up like that, isn't it? But ironically, you know, him being all fucking messed up and drunk on vodkas, crawling around like a dog, begging women for pussy and views. You know, him doing that, being drunk on the vodkas, it made for quite a good, interesting, entertaining interview with Chris Eubank, didn't it? And it was kind of like what we've been wanting to hear from Coogan for years and years. You know, those IFL fuckers, they're starting to step it up a bit, aren't they? You know, Umar, IFL Umar. You know, when he interviewed Eddie Hearn and he made him squirm. Eddie Hearn was squirming, wasn't he? He was like really uncomfortable, Eddie Hearn, you know, because Umar was asking a load of tough questions. You know, Eddie Hearn, he was really fucking uncomfortable, wasn't he? You know, squirming like that. You know, and Umar, he hasn't interviewed Eddie Hearn since, has he? You know, Eddie Hearn, he said to Coogan, like, don't let this fucker interview me again, yeah? You better keep him away from me. You know, because he made Eddie Hearn really uncomfortable. And he made him squirm. So Eddie Hearn don't want anything to do with him anymore, does he? And it's kind of similar with Coogan, you know, getting drunk and pretty much saying to Eubank, you're only a bigger name because of your dad. Not because of your victories in the ring. You know, Kell Brook won an IBF title against Sean Porter in America. So that was a great victory. So you're only really a bigger name because of your dad. That's what Coogan said, didn't he, when he was drunk. Yeah, it was good to hear, man. It was good to hear. But yeah, Coogan was right, you know, Eubank. He's just a name, isn't he, because of his dad, you know what I mean? That's it. You know, that's what Eubank Jr. does. He tries to like live off other people's names. You know, standing next to Israel Adesanya like that. You know what I mean? You know, now he's trying to live off Kell Brook's latest victory, his latest successful high-profile victory against the Skype wanker, you know, Chris Eubank. He's trying to like get in on that hype, innit? He's trying to cash in on Kell Brook's victory. You know, that's what people do, you know, when someone succeeds, they start trying to like live off them, trying to milk them. You know what I mean? Like, look at this video here. You see that fat cunt there? He's part of the Khan camp, yeah? And this is just before the fight with Kell Brook and Amir Khan, yeah? You see that black guy there? That's Kell Brook's dad, innit? His biological dad. Yeah? He calls the white guy Terry his dad because he raised him from a young age. But this black guy here, You know, that's Kel's biological dad. But like, listen to this video, yeah.
Guys, I'm with Kel Brook's dad. I'm Kel Brook's dad.
She's there.
Yeah?
My name is Michael Reed. He was called Ezekiel Brinsley Reed at birth.
Yeah?
You know what I mean? That's his mum there, Julianne Brooke.
Yeah? We're trying to get my man a ticket. What's your name, fella? What's your name?
Michael Reed.
Michael Reed. Anybody got a ticket for Michael Reed? His old man's not got him a ticket tonight for the fight. Not good that. But if anybody's got any spare tickets, please send one my way so I can sort Kel Brook's dad out with a ticket. You don't have to be ringside, just anything. He just wants to watch his son fight. Such a shame, man. Yeah, don't worry. We're going to start it for you. Respect.
So you see that there, you know, that fat cunt there, he's trying to like discredit Kel Brook, you know, like saying, oh, he didn't even leave a ticket for his own dad. You know, he's trying to discredit Kel, innit? But like, you know what I mean? Like, it's one of them things, innit? Like, we don't know the ins and outs. It's a private, personal matter, innit? But you know, this black guy here, he could have fucking, you know what I mean, banged Kel Brook's mum, yeah, and just fucking ran off, yeah? You know, like what Nigel Benn did, you know, when he had her Harley Benn. You know, he popped a few little fellas, didn't he? Banged a woman in a club and then just fucked off, so... That's what some people do, innit? So, you know what I mean? You know, if you try and get back into that kid's life, you know, when they're a successful multi-millionaire boxer and you start trying to get back in their life, you know, and you didn't have anything to do with them when they're young, you know, you can't fucking blame Kel, can you, for not giving him a ticket and for just fucking him off. You can't blame him, can you, Kel? But, you know, this fat cunt here is trying to, like, discredit Kel, innit? Saying, oh, he didn't even sort out his own dad with a ticket, you know, he's trying to discredit Kel and trying to slander him. You know, recording the footage. He's probably the cunt, you know, that was like banging on Kel's door, you know, the night before the fight at 3 o'clock in the morning. You know, trying to disrupt his sleep the night before his fight with Khan. It's probably that fat cunt there, wasn't it? Trying to diss Kel like that. Well, yeah, people trying to live off Kel now, you know what I mean? And it's the same with Eubank, innit? So yeah, what do you think of this new Coogan? You know, asking like harder questions to like Tyson Fury and Chris Eubank. You know, Coogan, he said to Tyson Fury, like, what happened with that money that you said you was giving to charity? Because like Tyson said, go on, ask me anything. Ask me whatever you want. So Coogan, you know, the new little Coogan. You know, he said, well, what happened to that money that you said you're giving to charity? And Tyson Fury said, no comment. You know, it's none of your business. No one needs to know. You know, it's my business, you know what I mean? So he kind of swerved it, didn't he? But, you know, if it's nothing to do with us, like, why tell us in the first place then? You know, if it's none of our business, like, why tell us in the first place? So he kind of swerved that question, didn't he, from Coogan. I was looking forward to that Tyson Fury Dillian White press conference, but you know, Dillian, he didn't turn up, did he? He didn't wanna know about it. Yeah, he's getting his guaranteed money in it, so he's just like, fuck it, I just don't need to turn up and, you know, go through all this bullshit. And Tyson dressing up in a Batman's outfit and that, you know, acting all fucking silly like that. You don't need it, do you? You know, when you're preparing for a fight. So people are having a go at Dillian for not turning up. But I don't blame him. Frillian white knickers. You're nothing to listen to all this fucking shit here. Frillian white knickers. You know, you don't need it, do you? You know, when you're training for a fight, you just want to train and just like relax and recover. You don't want to be getting on an aeroplane from Portugal to England. To come to England and listen to Tyson calling him frillian white knickers. Like, you don't need it, do you? So yeah, it's a bit corny, isn't it, from Tyson Fury. Dillian's just focused, man. You don't want to hear all this fucking frillian white knickers bullshit. You're not having to listen to Tyson Fury saying the same things. You're getting knocked out, Dosser. You're getting knocked out, Dosser. Wait till I get my hands on you, mush. You're getting knocked out, mush. Yeah, Dosser. You know, you don't need it, do you? You don't hear all that shit. It's fucking irritating. What else did Tyson Fury call him? Dillian White Feathers. You know, it's a bit corny, innit? It's a bit cringe, innit? It's a bit fucking shit. You know, like that Brady's, you know, dressing up as Super Mario and that, trying to be all funny. You know, trying to be all interesting and entertaining and... You know what I mean? It's fucking cringe, man. I don't know, it's just too desperate, innit? It's too... desperate and hungry for clout and hype and... You know what I mean? Trying to go viral in that fucking little outfit and that. I didn't really find it funny at all. And this, you know, this Brady's, you know, he tries to be funny and he tries to tell a few little jokes, but he don't speak English, does he, properly? So we can't really get with his banter because it's hard to understand what he's saying, if you know what I mean, you know, because he's a fucking foreigner. I know that sounds a bit racist, but I'm just saying, like, you can't really understand, can you, when he's trying to be fucking funny? Because he speaks in, like, broken English, so... I don't know, I never knew about him until this little fucking Super Mario outfit. So I suppose it works in a way if he's trying to attract casuals or whatever. Or he's trying to get followers or... what else is he trying to do? You know, he's fucking trying to get some attention from Jake Paul, innit? You know, like getting a tattoo of Jake Paul on him, on his leg or something. And he'd done a little Jake Paul diss track, so I don't know, this guy's a bit weird, man. I think he's trying a bit too hard, man. You know, his banter, we don't understand it because he's not speaking proper English, is he? So yeah, that will do, you know. I'm going to wrap it up anyway. Thanks for tuning in again, yeah? Yeah, thanks for that.